Omori is a very important game for me. I really, really, really loved Omori, and this video is about someone, I think a mom, who played Omori after losing her daughter to suicide. Alright, let's see here. This channel discusses topics of trauma, grief, and suicide. Sensitive viewers should use discretion. The thoughts, feelings, ideas, and opinions expressed are my own personal perspective. I am merely a bereaved parent. I am not a formally trained mental health care provider, and what I say should not be considered professional counseling. If you or someone you know are experiencing health issues, especially if you're thinking about harming yourself or someone else, please seek immediate care by contacting a physician, mental health care provider, trusted friend, or family member, or by contacting the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline by calling or texting. Omori's music is so beautiful. Subtitles. And do exclamation point socials.
As the culture surrounding mental health continues to evolve within our society, we've seen a parallel shift in the arts, including video games. Indie developers have been especially in tune with this shift, being regular people or small teams focused more on meticulously crafting their games' narratives since they aren't big companies chasing the almighty dollar. Because of this, we have been given wonderful games like Stardew Valley and Celeste, games that are enjoyable to play but do not shy away from uncomfortable subject matter.
Oh man, Celeste is so good. Okay, so like I played Celeste before I debuted in my new model that you see now. I played it last year around June, July-ish. And Celeste is such a good game. Man, Madeline is a great character. I really, really like Madeline. I like the whole allegory of like how the mountain itself is her like kind of mental struggles. Like I like how the mountain is a personification of her mental health, and like how that is shown. Like I think it's a brilliant way of showing like the struggles that she has with herself. Because honestly, like I definitely felt for Madeline too, where it's like the anxiety of trying to like the stress and anxiety you get from trying to like please other people or make everyone else around you happy, but like not trying to focus on yourself first, because it's very important that you need to focus on yourself before you try to make anyone else around you happy, which is why if you are in a bad mental place, like I speak from experience, I've talked about it a lot before, I'm a very big advocate for mental health. Like as much as I joke around, mental health is a very important thing for me, and mental health is something that like I have been struggling with and have struggled with for a very long time in my life. And I have had people very close to me struggle with mental health, right? And so I like the way that Celeste like portrayed like what that looks like, and I think it's a very smart way of showing how stress and anxiety, like maybe like dysphoria, like can make someone feel, but things like that.
Material. I appreciate that these developers were brave enough to juxtapose their beautiful art with mental.
But okay, I am gonna say something. I gotta say, every indie developer, for some reason, wants to make their entire game an allegory for mental health. And I gotta say, guys, I know we're all depressed, but guys, maybe we shouldn't make all of our games an allegory for mental health, because every indie developer just loves making their game an allegory for mental health. It's like, guys, sometimes I don't want to think about how much I fucking hate myself. Sometimes I just want to play a good indie game that's fun and doesn't make me think about how much I hate myself.
Health topics like depression, PTSD, and substance abuse It says a lot about who they are as people. I feel that games like this are a new way to get the message across to the public that it's okay to struggle. You aren't broken, you aren't alone, and you aren't unworthy of love. Dealing with the hardships of life does not make you any less human. I tip my cap to developers like these. As the title of this video suggests, I lost my 13-year-old daughter to suicide in June of 2023. In the wake of her death, my perspective on basically everything in life has changed. Time, love, money, art, none of these things are what they used to be. As I stumble forward, desperately trying to piece together some semblance of a new life, I find myself not only playing video games as a means of distracting myself, I also appreciate aspects of gaming that I didn't pay much attention to in the past. That brings us to Omori. I've been aware of this game's existence for years, but it just didn't seem like the kind of game I'd be into. Don't get me wrong, I love RPGs. They are perhaps my all-time favorite genre of games.
Can't disagree more. I cannot disagree more. RPGs are my least hated genre of game, but Omori is such a good in my opinion, Omori is such a good, compelling game with its narrative, its music, and its art, where I was able to push past the fact that I fucking hate JRPGs and turn-based combat style games in order to get through this game, because I thought the message of what it was trying to say was more important than my dislike for RPGs. You're allowed to be wrong about RPGs. I hate you. I hate RPGs and turn-based. I don't hate RPGs. I hate JRPGs, like turn-based combat style stuff. I hate it. It's specifically turn-based combat that I hate, which is why I don't like Pokemon.
But as someone who's used RPG Maker for over 20 years, I'm painfully aware of its reputation. While I love RPG Maker and have always
I used to think Omori was only a cute game at face value. Past me was so wrong. Omori genuinely is it looks like a stupid little haha funny kids game on the surface, but no, it's hard. It's hard to get through. When I streamed Omori, I cried. I cried like a little bitch when I streamed Omori. It was tough to get through. It was really tough to get through. Not in the sense that it was a hard game or whatever, but it was tough to get through emotionally. But I was so compelled by the whole time by what the twist was and what led to the events that led to what happened, and how everyone kind of accepted what happened. And by the way, if you haven't played Omori, this video is definitely gonna have spoilers for it, so if you don't want to get spoiled for Omori, I would really recommend that you play the game yourself. So you can just click out of the stream or video or whatever, but I really do highly recommend playing Omori for yourself and experiencing it for yourself if you haven't played it already. It's a very good game, and with a very important and good message.
had a lot of fun with it. It has produced an endless number of, well, subpar games. Because Omori was created using RPG Maker, I was admittedly a skeptic of it. But as I said, my daughter's death has changed my perspective.
The best kind of game makes you feel something. It's not just a game. It's any media that makes you feel something. It whether it be sadness, anger, guilt, any or fear. Any media that can produce visceral emotions out of you is something that should be very highly acclaimed, right? And when I say fear, I don't mean haha jump scare, like FNAF, Freddy Fazbear jump scare. I'm talking about genuine despair that makes you feel a hopeless sense of dread. I've talked about this before, but my favorite anime of all time is Made in Abyss, and part of the reason why I like Made in Abyss is because the feeling of despair that it gives me and just absolute hopelessness. Like, it makes me feel like there's nothing. Like, when I watched Made in Abyss, the world building and the character growth is so, in my opinion, compelling that I get very invested. I get very immersed in the entire world because the creator, I what's his name? I have the manga right here. The author, Akihito Sakushi, he does such an amazing job at building up the world of Made in Abyss to make you feel like it is a real breathing world, that it's not a world that exists around the characters. The characters exist around the world, and they simply experience all of the hardships. And I love Made in Abyss because it's made me feel like true despair. It's made me cry. It's made me feel angry. It's made me like towards like the characters or what's going on. It's made me feel like just like so many different emotions. And I think Made in Abyss, I think more so than the art, more so than the music, more so than anything else, the biggest strength that Made in Abyss has as a series, as a medium of storytelling is the raw emotions that it can bring out in me. And that's why I always like I've always talked about it before, but it's like one of my it's a very niche like genre of art. It's called Gurokawa, and it's when artists try to mix together very cute, very happy, very bright things with very dark, very bloody, gory, disgusting, terrifying things. And I really like Gurokawa, and I'm in love with that type of art. I would show you my favorite artist, but I'm not allowed to show that on stream because it's very gory. It's very like all over the place. But yeah, it's a form of art that I'm in love with just because it reminds me of Made in Abyss in so many ways. Anyway, that's enough me rambling about shit. Let's continue watching the video.
Perspective on a lot of things. Gaming has become an integral part of my grieving process, so it's only fair that I dedicate some time and energy into the games that I've had an emotional connection with since losing Allison. I figured it was time to give this game a fair shot. Before we go any further, let me briefly explain what this game is. There are countless videos on YouTube that chronicle the development of Omori, so I'll spare you most of those details. In short, Omori is an RPG published in 2020 by indie developer Omocat after 6 years of development and became an instant cult classic. Based on the creator's webcomic series of the same name, Omori follows the story of a young boy named Sunny who, in the wake of his sister's death and apparent suicide by hanging, has become a hikikomori, a term used in Japan to describe people who have completely isolated themselves from the outside world. The game's narrative has a heavy focus on serious emotional and mental health topics.
God, I fucking love this scene. So in Omori, this was the scene. So throughout the game in Omori, you're playing as a character named Sunny or Omori. It's kind of like Sunny is like the real life like counterpart to this person, and then Omori is the person stuck inside of Sunny's head. This Omori is like the representation of him locking himself inside of his own head because he's so depressed from all the events that has happened in his life, that he is like become like a shell. Omori's like an alter ego. Yeah. And during the scene, you're playing as Sunny in the real world, and Sunny has a lot of fears. Like anyone else, he has a fear of spiders. He has a fear of, he has a fear of swimming. I believe he has a fear of heights. Like he has fears and anxieties like anyone else, and he's scared of the stairs specifically. He's scared of heights, yeah, and he's scared of the stairs specifically. And there is a reason why he is scared of the stairs, very specifically the stairs, later on, which the video will most likely explain. But during this scene, it's such a good way of showing how anxiety impacts someone, because as you're going up the stairs, they just keep getting longer and longer and longer and longer and longer and longer and longer. The world around you gets darker. You feel unnerved. The unnerving music is playing. There's a hand following you up the stairs more and more and more and more. And it's chasing you and you can't get away. And it's such a good representation of what anxiety feels like when it's happening, because if you've never had like a panic attack or anxiety attack in the moment, it genuinely does feel like everything around you is closing in and there's nothing you can do. It's the way that Omori is able to represent and personify the fears and anxieties that people have, God, it's so good.
Topics like depression, anxiety, guilt, trauma, and suicide. Maybe playing a game with this type of subject material was a mistake after losing my daughter, but if I was ever going to give this game a fair chance and feel any real resonance from its message, this was as good a time as any. Welcome to Gaming with Grief. Like many RPGs, Omori's gameplay takes place in two different ways: exploration of an overworld and a separate window for combat. Exploration takes a slight departure from the conventional, as there are actually multiple worlds to explore. White space, a bright, barren void inside of Sunny's mind. Headspace, a colorful world born of Sunny's memories where he spends time with his friends and late sister Mari. Black space, a horror-themed, desolate world of darkness. And the real world, where the player is able to piece together the real events of the story. Each world is visibly and audibly distinct from the others. In fact, let's take a minute to discuss this game's art before we go any further.
The art is so
Right
good.
off the
Holy
bat, it's
fuck.
clear that the developers, especially Omocat, have a background in visual art.
It's so
Omori
good.
has a charming, very distinct art style.
God, I love the art in this game. And I love all of the Omocat merch on their website, and I fucking buy all of it all the time because I'm a little fucking pay piggy for Omocat. God, I love Omocat. Their art is amazing. I fucking love rocking their merch.
Utilizing a simple pencil-drawn approach with subdued pastel colors. It creates a sort of whimsical, cartoon-like world, or rather worlds. I feel that this enhances the game's immersion by pronouncing the differences in atmosphere between white space, headspace, black space, and the real world, the town of Faraway. As a seasoned RPG Maker user, I have an even deeper appreciation for what this team was able to accomplish visually, limited to a simple tile-based map toolset and a few scripts for parallaxing. They created a truly unique world with very few tools at their disposal. RPG Maker, like many visually equivalent game development tools, also limits a developer's ability to show character emotions and interactions.
Are you crying? No, my
By
nose
default,
is sniffly.
Characters have a
I probably
3-frame
will
walking
cry at some point.
animation and can only move in 4 directions. This means that the artists have to do a ton of extra legwork to bring characters to life, drawing multiple sprite sheets and faces to broaden the range of emotions that we, the players, see. Other games like Sea of Stars and Shovel Knight are great examples of games in which developers went the extra mile to make sure that, despite a limited number of pixels, characters are emotive.
Is
and
this
environments
Shovel
are
Knight?
rich and
Wait,
full.
what? Is this a new Shovel Knight game? What? This looks so good. What the hell?
Visually, the game knows when to be bright and silly or dark and serious, and the art style allows the narrative to dance back and forth between the two effortlessly. Omocat, Minced, and
Dude, I have listened. I have listened to the song so many times. Good Morning, like the ending, like the good ending Omori song. This is such a good fucking song, and it makes me cry like a little bitch every time I hear it.
M's all deserve commendation for their hard work on this game's aesthetic. Clearly
If you want to get me to cry, play Good Morning, and I'll burst into tears.
inspired by other RPGs like Earthbound, Omori utilizes turn-based combat and an emotion rock-paper-scissors system, not unlike the types in Pokemon games. Characters experience emotions in battle which act like status conditions, except that each emotion has a weakness and resistance to the others. Angry increases attack but lowers defense, sad increases defense but lowers speed, and happy increases luck and speed but lowers accuracy. There is also neutral, the baseline emotion that has no effects. Angry beats sad, sad beats happy, and happy beats angry. A character's life or HP is denoted as heart, and skill points are denoted as juice. Your characters equip weapons like stuffed animals and cooking utensils to raise attack power, and trinkets like jewelry and clothing to boost defense. Additionally, an energy gauge fills up during battle as your team takes damage. These
This
energy
shit goes
points
so
can be
hard.
used to do follow-up attacks, cooperative abilities between 2 or more characters to deal extra damage to enemies,
Yeah, this shit goes
inflict
hard.
buffs or debuffs, or heal some of your party. Omori gives you just enough options during battle to keep the game fun and engaging without the player feeling overwhelmed by having to learn a complicated battle system. To me, this is one of RPG Maker's strengths, and I'm glad they leaned into it. Now that we've covered the
They did manage to make the combat of the game at least intriguing. Like I wasn't bored when I was doing it.
basics,
What? I've never seen a game like this before. When was it made? Winter, get out of here. It's called Omori. Get out of here. This is big spoilers. Really big spoilers.
let's get into the story itself. When booting up the game, you are met with the text, "Don't worry, everything is going to be okay." You see a boy sitting on the floor in the dark with his head buried in his knees, and another trying to console him. I can't tell you how many times I've felt this very same way since my daughter died. 15 seconds in, and I can already tell that this is going to be a very emotional experience. The game begins with the titular character is going to be a very died. 15 seconds in, and I can see it in his knees. Picking up the game, you are met with the text, "Don't worry, everything is going to be okay." You see a boy sitting on the floor in the dark with his head buried in his knees, and another trying to console him. I can't tell you how many times I've felt this very same way since my daughter died.
I have I've never talked about my personal life much on stream. Partially because like I don't want to get I don't want to get like, you know, like potentially like in trouble with like people like using personal information against me, or just like I don't like to talk about like sad events in my personal life, because people aren't here to um listen to like a streamer talk about how sad their life is. Like, because you guys are not here to listen to someone talk about how sad their life is and then listen to them like rant or like vent, because the whole point of you guys watching a stream is that like you guys are looking for entertainment. You guys are not looking for someone to console. And like I don't want to make the vibe of my streams like something like sad. But with that being said, um when I was young, around somewhere around the age of uh 12, 13, it was a long time ago. My mother passed away. And she passed away from suicide, right? So part of the reason why Omori hit me as hard as it did is because you know, obviously like I have very personal experience with someone very close to me passing away in such a way. Um Hold on. Anyway, I've always like, yeah, it like I said, this isn't something that I've talked about much before and stuff like that. I don't get into my personal, I don't like getting into my personal life like this. But yeah, so I've had a very close person in my life kill themselves, and it's not a fun thing to go through. So like I get the feeling of I know the feeling of what Omori feels like being like a little boy. Someone very close to you has just passed away and everything feels hopeless, so you just kind of sit and just like coddle yourself in like a room all day, and like you don't want to leave because the outside world's bad. So
15 seconds in, and I can already tell that this is going to be a very emotional experience. The game begins with the titular character Omori awakening in white space, a barren void with only a few objects to interact with, including a box of tissues and a sketchbook. A door soon appears, and Omori enters it to find himself in the colorful, dreamlike world of Headspace, met by his 3 childhood friends, Aubrey, Kel, and Hiro. This is where most of the gameplay of Omori takes place. Let's quickly talk about each member of the team. Aubrey is sweet and very strong-willed. She is not afraid to speak her mind and could be considered the bravest of the group. She also often bickers with Kel, who seems to have a knack for getting on her nerves.
for the longest fucking time, I thought Kel was a girl. Kel still looks like a girl to me. I cannot see in any way, shape, or form Kel being a girl. Like Kel is, I mean Kel dude. I mean Kel looks like a girl, and I'm still convinced Kel is a girl. Just like, or like whatever. Just they look like they look like a girl. They do not look like a dude at all.
Aubrey is primarily an attacker in battle and gains the ability to
Non-binary
destroy heavy
coded. I
objects
think
in
they're
the field.
trans coded.
Kel is your typical lunkhead, the athletic type who
Like,
is loud,
trans guy
clumsy,
coded.
and very extroverted. For all of his faults, you truly won't find a more loyal friend with a better heart. I wanted to dislike Kel at first, but he has a way of growing on you. Kel is a balanced fighter with a few attacks that hit more than one enemy. He can also throw balls at
That's called a No, I said a trans guy. Like, I think, like, in my head, Kel's a trans dude. So, female to male.
things like statues and switches to help you traverse the world of Headspace. Lastly, Hiro is the oldest of the group and Kel's older brother. He's calm, rational, and very charming, all of which he uses to break up quarrels between Aubrey and Kel. He's very much the peacekeeper of the team. Hiro is mostly a support character, with several cooking skills at his disposal to restore the team in battle. The 4 kids set out for the nearby park to meet their friend Basil and Omori's older sister, Mari, for a picnic. Once they arrive, the team decides to play a game of hide-and-seek with another group of kids at the park, after which they head to Basil's house to look at his photo album together. It's here that Basil drops a photo he doesn't recognize at first. Just as he begins to realize what it is, the game gives us our first taste of its horror element, and Omori is whisked back to the safety of Whitespace, only this time, there's not a door for him to leave. He instead stabs himself with a knife and awakens back in the real world as Sunny.
Jesus.
You can think of Omori as Sunny's alter ego in a way. It's here we find out that Sunny and his mom are moving away in 3 days. Sunny has been left home alone to finish his chores and moving preparations before leaving. This is where the lines between realities start to blur. It becomes apparent that
The picture part was trippy. Oh yeah. Like, that's like the first time in the game that like anything like weird happens. Cause like you spawn in white space and then you go hang out with your friends. And then like the minute you see the picture, it's like, oh, this game isn't. Oh, this isn't. Oh, this isn't gonna be normal.
Sunny is under the duress of some sort of significant mental trauma, and Whitespace is the quiet, uncomplicated asylum created within his own mind to protect himself. Sunny descends a staircase into abysmal darkness, where he is met with one of his first terrifying encounters with an unknown creature of pure terror. Defeated, Sunny makes his way back to bed, where he once again awakens in Whitespace. He again enters the door and returns to Headspace. Back in Headspace, Omori rejoins with his friends, only to find out that now Basil is missing.
No.
Overwhelmed with concern over their lifelong friend's well-being, the 4 of them set out on an adventure through Headspace to try to find him. The first locale the team explores is the Pinwheel Forest. This is pretty standard RPG fare. Explore a happy, forest-themed area littered with
I will say, I think the best part about Omori's gameplay is the fact that if you want to, you can skip the fights. Because, like, it's not like random encounters where it's like Pokemon where you're just walking through bushes and suddenly it's like, oh, a random encounter. It's like you can actually skip the fights if you really want to, which is most of them.
Rabbit and plant-based monsters early in the game. At the end of the forest, they encounter a giant ladder that they decide to climb, forcing Omori to face his first of many fears, heights. This will be a common theme of Omori's development throughout the story. At the top of the ladder lies Otherworld Camp, a quaint hillside village full of interesting residents and a recycling machine that was clearly inspired by the Save robot from Mario Paint. The team asks around for clues to Basil's whereabouts, but to no avail. Instead, they meet the bedridden space boyfriend, and after agreeing to go on a search for a lost mixtape, make their way to the nearby junkyard.
I fucking love
The
love
junkyard
Space
could be
Boyfriend.
considered the game's first dungeon, full of conveyor belt puzzles and locked doors.
This shit was so annoying. I hated going through the junkyard. I'm sorry if there were any junkyard stands in chat, but I did not like the junkyard in this game.
The enemies here are all discarded electronics, cassette tapes, boom boxes, computers, etc.
I believe in the new Pokemon games you actually can skip. Well, no, like you can skip the battles or run away. I just don't like random encounters. Like I hate the idea of random encounters.
It's here
I
that
think it's
they also
lame.
meet the the Life Jam guy,
What the
who
hell?
sells this game's version of a revive item, Life Jam, which is kind of cute because when your characters die, they are turned to toast. The boss enemy of this area is the
Oh no, we're toast.
download window, a computer program that has seemingly gone haywire. After defeating it and recovering the mixtape,
I love Pluto.
they leave the junkyard where they meet
Pluto's such a sexy little
rogue
man.
planet who decides to open up a convenient means of fast travel.
Well,
for
not
the
little,
team.
but you know.
Returning to Space Boyfriend's ship, the mixtape ends up sending him into a frenzy, and the team has no
As of Gen 8, Pokemon isn't random encounters anymore. They're walking around the overworld. Well, we'll see.
choice but to battle him. After the battle,
Dude,
they sending him into
okay,
a
wait.
frenzy, and the
Are you
team
just
has
gonna
no
skip
choice but
past
to battle him.
Space Boyfriend like that? Dude, Space Boyfriend is so fucking hot. Dude, look at him. He is the hottest character in this fucking game. Dude, I love... Oh my god, I fucking love Space Boyfriend. Holy shit.
After the battle, they leave the Otherworld camp and head into Cattail Field, where Omori chases a shadowy apparition of Basil that leads him to a lonely barn.
He's got that
Inside,
Vegeta hair.
he disappears
for
into a
real.
large picture and finds himself on a tall, dark staircase. At the top, Omori finds a music stand with sheet music that has been scribbled out. Seeing it triggers some sort of internal trauma, and once again, the game's horror elements surface. The fear sends him back to the sanctuary of white space. Omori again stabs himself and awakens in the real world. 3 days remain until he moves away. Sunny awakens to knocking at his door. It's Kel, coming to see
Panky, this is a grieving parent who's obviously straight. Of course, he doesn't appreciate Space Boyfriend's hotness.
if he can coax Sunny out for a visit before he moves away.
I'll give it to him.
We
he's
start
grieving.
to piece together that in the real world, Mary
Ah,
passed away 4 years ago, and her death drove everyone apart. This is the first of many parallels between this game and my experience. Grief has a terrible way of dividing you and the people in your life. Kel, being
Yep.
the lovable oaf that he is, attempts to drag Sunny out of the house for one last adventure together. Of note, you can choose not to answer the door at all and just go to bed, essentially skipping a huge portion of the story. The game gives you several choice-based opportunities to do this, though certain choices can prevent you from getting the quote-unquote real ending. It's worth mentioning that on my playthrough, there were many optional areas and side quests that I either didn't record footage of or didn't pursue altogether. There's plenty of content off the beaten path of this game's main story for those of you that are interested.
Mm-hmm.
It turns out that Hiro has been off attending college and is coming home for a visit, so
Oh,
Kel
hell
and
yeah.
Sunny run errands to go get him a welcome back gift. On their way home, they pass the park, where they see Basil being bullied by the now pink-haired Aubrey and her new
Of course, Basil is a fucking, like, piece of shit who gets bullied. I mean, honestly, if I was in high school and if I was in, like, high school with Basil, I would bully Basil because Basil is such a bullyable little piece of shit.
group of ruffian friends. After a little tussle with Aubrey,
I have an Aubrey shirt, actually. It's an Aubrey Omo Cat shirt. It's of her holding the bat like that. It's a great shirt. I fucking love it.
the boys walk Basil back home. Basil then confesses that Aubrey took his photo album and refuses to return it, though the details are a little fuzzy. Sunny and Cal go on a search for Aubrey to retrieve the album and find her at the
Find her at a
church.
fucking church.
After a very uncomfortable confrontation, Aubrey storms out. The boys follow and catch her.
The game has so many secrets and alternate possibilities that the time to beat it is estimated as 21 hours, while the time to 100% is 72. Holy fucking shit.
Just as she's throwing the photo album in the trash.
There was like a whole like area I didn't go to. Like there was like a whole area with like a whole another like boss fight and shit I didn't even know about until like after I beat the game. Like I was like, what the fuck? There's like a whole area and like boss fight? Oh my god.
Which the boys recover. After returning the album to Basil, his caretaker Polly invites the boys in to stay for dinner. During the meal, Kel discloses that Sunny is moving away in 3 days. Clearly bothered by this, Basil excuses himself to the bathroom.
Oh, no.
Sunny follows to check on him when once again things become dark and scary very quickly. Basil is somehow involved in this trauma that is affecting Sunny, but it's not yet clear how or why. Unable to help Basil, Sunny returns home to an equally frightening scene. He again confronts the physical manifestation of his trauma, but is unable to defeat it and returns to Whitespace.
Not the spiders.
Again leaving Whitespace through the door and returning to Headspace, Omori rejoins his friends who collectively continue their search for Basil. They head into the Firefly Forest, a maze-like labyrinth of spider-infested trees. After solving a few puzzles and repairing an old minecart track, they reach the Sprout Mole village. After helping a few of the silly little plant people, the group enters Sweetheart's castle to watch a live
I love
Bachelorette
Sweetheart
type
so
show.
much. I need Sweetheart in my life. I need her. I want to be locked up by Sweetheart so bad. She's so bad. Oh my god.
After a series of ridiculously comical events, something that this game does well to balance out its darker themes, the group is thrown into Sweetheart's dungeon where they must escape. Sweetheart's castle, including the dungeon and courtyard, is a huge area, perhaps the
Sweetheart, my
biggest dungeon in
beloved.
the game.
Yeah,
After
the
what
castle
feels
is
like
fucking
forever,
huge.
The group finally makes it out and returns to the stage where they battle Sweetheart.
I need her
In yet
laughing
another
at me.
strange turn of events, Space Boyfriend shows up and sweeps Sweetheart off her feet. She then blows up her stage saying that they don't need it anymore, and the group jumps down into the hole. Omori is separated from the others and left to explore a dark library, giving us our first true set of clues into the real-world events of Sunny's trauma if we as the player are able to discern the redacted names in the books. Normally, tedious tasks like this in video games is something I would just pass by, but I was captivated by the story at this point. Playing Omori is like reading a book that I didn't want to put down because, despite how painful some of it was to experience, I understood and related to that pain. Omori has a vision of Basil and is shown the back of a photograph, on which is taped a key and the words, "Don't forget, it's in the toy box." Omori again returns to Whitespace, where he stabs himself and awakens as Sunny in the real world.
Man.
Before I go any further, I want to
I actually didn't know that what tofu was when playing this, thinking it was some made up thing.
stop and talk about
that.
this game's sound design a little bit. The soundtrack for Omori was composed
so
by
good.
Slime Girls, Clover, and Bo N.
It's so
The
good.
trio often favors
Bo N
simple,
killed it.
chiptune melodies, nostalgic of games like Earthbound and Animal Crossing. Just like with the visuals, sometimes less is more, and the music melds perfectly with the art style. This game boasts a truly impressive catalog even for an RPG, with over 170 tracks in total.
Yes. I love
Tracks
you,
that are
Omori!
supposed to convey peace, quiet, or calmness utilize light acoustic strings and flittering flutes and whistles, underscored by simple piano melodies. They often sound like they were made with toy instruments, which I find very charming. You can't help but feel a calm sadness.
They did such a good
Even though
job.
Omori is considered to be a horror game, the team was able to sonically capture positive emotions as well.
Like, if any of you guys, I think it's called Yume Nikki. Let me check my Steam library real quick. I think it's called Yume Nikki, yeah. If any of you guys have ever, like, heard of this game or seen anything about it, it's, like, it's very obvious that Yume Nikki was part of the inspiration for at least some of the later areas in Omori.
The developers also cleverly placed the melody from Whitespace, one of the game's simplest but most important tracks, into some of its other songs, sometimes so discreetly that you'll miss it if you aren't paying attention. I like little Easter eggs like this. It was a great creative choice as it allows them to keep the sound more cohesive and utilize a fantastic tune more than once. Omori also knows when to lean into more traditional RPG music when necessary. The game uses several different battle themes depending on which area of the game you're in, one of which being Tussle Among the Trees, an upbeat, choppy tune that sounds like it was taken straight from a Kirby game.
They've done such a good job with everything in this
Tracks
game.
like this
They really
showcase
have.
that the game can play to every color on the emotional spectrum, not just the dark, somber blues of sadness.
This is a track I listen to a lot.
Honestly, the team could facilitate a masterclass in using simple music to convey emotion and set the mood, especially when it comes to using a lack of sound. Some tracks have almost no melody at all, favoring a quiet, haunting, hypnotic Sith to create a feeling of perpetual dread. Being able to create darker atmospheres in this way is critical for games like Omori that use horror elements to tell the story. Again, player immersion is vital for games.
It's not horror. It is horror, but it's not like the horror that you think of, like Five Nights at Freddy's horror. It's psychological horror, which, in my opinion, psychological horror is much more. It's much more than that.
Conveying such an emotional narrative. If you're able to, play this game with headphones on. Several songs are enriched with deep bass lines, ethereal bells and beeps, and audio panning that you may miss without them.
I
My
always
personal
made
favorite
the
tracks are
happy
Tussle
emotion
Among the
just to see
Trees,
Omori smile. But I'm gonna be
Bones
honest
in
with
the
you.
Fog,
Omori
and Free
smiling
Bottle.
is uncomfortable. Have you ever heard of Wallows? I'll look into it. I am a fan of good music, so.
Back to the story, Kel returns
Omori
to
has
drag
a
Sunny
very
out of the
creepy
house.
smile.
Today is the day that Hiro is coming home from college, and Kel has been tasked with picking up some food for the occasion. He asks Sunny to tag along.
Omori manic
The
state is
boys get the
unhinged.
food and return to Kel's house when Polly shows up asking if they've seen Basil. Concerned, the boys set out to find him and head to the lake at the park, a place that used to be the group's secret hangout spot. They arrive just in time to break up another dispute between Basil and Aubrey, who, in a fit of rage, accidentally pushes Basil into the lake. Knowing that Basil can't swim, Sunny jumps in to try.
Psychological horror is much scarier because how real it is. It's not a monster chasing you, it's your own mind. That's why psychological horror, in my opinion, is way better. It's just it feels a lot more real.
And save him. It turns out that not only is Sunny also a poor swimmer, but he has a phobia of water. In another dark, dreamlike stupor, Sunny finds himself back in his house, only this time it's underwater. He finds Mari on the stairs and gives chase, descending
Mari on
into
the
the darkest
stairs, that's
depths where he
crazy.
eventually blacks out. The waves of grief often feel like drowning. Sunny awakens back at the lake to see a familiar face, Hiro, who arrived just in the nick of time to pull both him and Basil from the water. The boys rush Basil back home to Polly, where he is safely returned to recover. They then return to Kel and Hiro's house, where they have dinner and look through the photo album again. The boys
I guess it's safe to say what I've seen is that the game is pretty good. Good storyline, a lot of other pleasing aspects. Surprised I've never heard of this game. It's very good.
decide
Very popular game too.
to sleep over at Sunny's one last night since he's leaving soon. Once settled in, Sunny drifts off and returns yet again to white space. When he enters Headspace, Sunny is not immediately met by his friends as usual. He wanders around for a bit and
Yeah,
returns to the park.
This is such a fucked up part of the game. It's empty. Completely fucking empty, and it's terrifying.
But again, nobody is there.
I don't think it's like
Not
any
even Mari
music
on her
either.
picnic blanket. Eventually, Omori finds her at the dock, where she suggests that they cross the water to look for the others. The two swim through a vast water veiled by thick fog until they reach the other side. Mari commends Omori for conquering some of his fears so far: spiders, heights, water, but then notes that he still has one fear left to face, one that will be a little bit harder to overcome. Continuing on, they reach a white window where Mari says her final goodbye to Omori. The window is replaced by a whirlpool that leads Omori to a well. He descends into the well where he reaches Deep Well, an underwater area that you can't convince me wasn't inspired by Rock Bottom from SpongeBob SquarePants.
In regular horror, even if the jump scare does get you, the feeling ends right after. Psych horror always makes you feel like uneasy. Yeah, that's why I really liked Lost in Vivo. Because Lost in Vivo, like, there were some jump scares, but most of the game was just psychological horror. It was fucking with you the whole time. And that was a game where I genuinely, like, I had to take multiple breaks, like, throughout the stream where I did it, because I couldn't bring myself to continue. So it's like, I needed to, like, take a step back.
After exploring Deepwell a bit, Omori finds Kel, who explains that the rest of the group all ended up getting jobs at the nearby casino, Last Resort. The two explore the casino and are reunited with the rest of the group, but it seems as though they are all starting to forget what they were doing and how they got there in the first place, including their search for Basil. A side note here, this is one of my personally greatest fears, forgetting.
Now that, have you played Hollow Knight before? Yes, I played Hollow Knight. I love Hollow Knight. It's one of my favorite games from, like, soundtrack alone. I love Hollow Knight. Now that you mentioned it, did Omocat get inspiration from Rock Bottom for the underwater section? You could definitely tell the inspirations for, like, a lot of the places, for sure. I think it's kind of obvious.
So many people get old and forget most of their lives, and that terrifies me to no end. My memories are so very precious to me, a window into my life in which my daughter was still here with me. I can't think of any crueler fate than not being able to remember her and the love that she gave me. Once the team is reunited, they try to quit their jobs and leave the casino when they are stopped by Mr. Jossum, the cutthroat tycoon who runs the business with an iron fist. Refusing to let them break their contracts, he battles the group but eventually concedes, forcing them to battle his true #1 employee, Pluto. After a difficult fight with a literal planet, they leave Last Resort and head back to Deepwell to continue their journey to find Basil. They traverse weathered bridges and underwater caverns and eventually find Humphrey, a seemingly friendly whale who invites them inside.
That motherfucker Humphrey. I hate this little shithead. I fucking hate Humphrey.
His belly, which
such a piece
serves
of
as the
shit.
game's last real dungeon. Inside of the mighty whale reside 3
fucking
witches,
hate this dude.
Molly, Marina, and Medusa, and according to Humphrey, Sweetheart is also inside, paying the 3 witches a visit for who knows what reason. Humphrey's insides are an expansive maze of winding rivers, button puzzles, and digestive hazards. After exploring the whale's cavernous insides, the group discovers that Sweetheart has come to solicit the help of the witches to make her a perfect partner, following her breakup with Space Boyfriend. Each of the 3 witches creates
favorite Omori jokebook quote. There's an Omori jokebook.
It's a different clone of her, but each time Sweetheart storms out, unsatisfied with their work. In a final confrontation, Sweetheart escapes and leaves Omori and the team stuck with the bill for the witches' hard work, 1,000,000 clams. Unable to pay,
Not clams.
The group is forced to battle the witches.
I also have a Slime Girl shirt. And I have a Slime Girl shirt. I do. It's like a tie-dye shirt with all 3. I gotta say, Omocat knows how to make really good-looking characters.
After the fight, it's revealed that the reason they needed so much money in the first place was to feed Humphrey.
I also own an Omori poster. It's not on my wall, but it's framed. It's sitting right next to me. It's the one of Sunny sitting in his dark room with something behind him.
Now he's hungry and not happy about it. Humphrey swallows the witches and tries to also swallow our heroes. After yet another battle,
This battle fucked me up, by the way. Like, the Slime Girl battle and this battle fucked my shit up. I was struggling.
The team escapes the hungry whale's insides, and they find the last black key to complete the Hangman game, revealing the message, "Welcome to Black Space." We are shown a scene of Basil's house, now dark and dilapidated. Is this where we're supposed to go now? The team descends into a whirlpool left in Humphrey's wake and traverses an odd pink underground river. A mysterious voice speaks to Omori, referring to him as the Dreamer, and reminding him of the terrible thing he was about to face. Whatever awful trauma he was exposed to, whatever unforgivable act he committed, The time to stop running from it to the safety of white space is quickly approaching. Through the river, the group find themselves in Neighbor's room, where all of their adventures in Headspace have begun. They walk the wooded trail to Basil's house, again giving chase to a shadowy apparition of him. This time, all of the flowers along the way are dead and can't be revived. Basil explains why he planted the flowers in the first place. Each of them represents one of the main characters. Roses represent Hero, who is universally loved. Cacti flowers represent Kel because he is hardy and resilient, things like that. It is also a stern reminder of the finality of death, something I still struggle to understand and accept in the wake of my daughter's death. I hate that death is so mysterious and permanent, but respect that this game at least acknowledges that fact. The group reaches Basil's house, overgrown with black vines and the floor gone, opened into a seemingly bottomless pit. Omori plummets into the darkness. Welcome to Black Space. Omori, now without Aubrey, Kel, and Hero, lands in a black ocean. He swims to shore and navigates a forest path covered in thick spiderwebs. He continues forward, cutting the webs with his knife as he goes. The forest gives way to another staircase. At the top is Mari, resting peacefully in a clear coffin atop a bed of white orchids.
I'm trying to think at the point to where I realized what happened. Like, cause like, I didn't realize like what exactly happened, like with like the reveal of what of like Omori until like probably the pictures. And like they had to like directly come out and say it.
It's truly a sight to behold. It brought me to tears. Omori, Sunny, clearly loves and reveres his sister so much that even in Black Space, the darkest part of his mind, a hallowed spot to preserve Mari remains. I relate to this too. There is a lot of darkness related to my grief and trauma that I'm still sorting through. I probably will be for the rest of my life. But despite that, the memory of my daughter is so deeply precious to me, I would do anything to preserve it. As Omori approaches Mari, she changes into the shadowy apparition and quickly disappears, leaving behind a black door. He enters the heart of Black Space, an inverted copy of White Space. Inside are countless doors, each leading to a disturbed, distorted place within Sunny's psyche.
Yeah, this area was definitely the ones that reminded like me the most of Yume Neki, and it was I was freaked out going through these areas. I had no idea what I was gonna what I was doing in them, but like I was scared.
Each locale is unique, and the creative art style of the game is dialed to an 11 here. It's actually unnerving to be here, totally severed from the colorful, silly world of Headspace. Omori explores door after door, delving deeper and deeper into his trauma with each knob turned. Many of the doors lead to Basil, who, despite being relieved to see Omori each time, ends up being killed in one way or another. These scenes represent Basil's feelings of being abandoned by Sunny in the wake of their trauma. It begs the question, who is trying to save who? Eventually, a new door bathed in an eerie red light appears. This is it, the end of Black Space. Inside this crimson void, Omori finds another version of Basil, detained by the same red hands that occupy White Space.
Mm-hmm.
Basil begs Omori for help, but without words or hesitation, Omori stabs Basil. I couldn't believe what I was seeing when I played this part. Omori steps forward and descends another set of stairs where a throne of red hands awaits him at the top. He seats himself, now the king of Black Space. Sunny has lost control. Is Omori doing this to protect Sunny once and for all?
This was God. My heart was racing the whole time. This was so surreal watching playing through all of this.
Has he become fully sentient and drunk with power? At this moment, Sunny wakes up, having fallen out of bed from the nightmare. Kel is still in his room asleep, having not heard the thump of Sunny hitting the floor. Hero, however, is gone. Sunny wanders around the dark house and comes across the piano room, an area of the house he'd previously refused to enter if you tried. Mari, dressed in all white, is seated at the piano, playing a soft, sad waltz. She recounts her and Sunny playing together, practicing for a recital they were supposed to perform. She apologizes for pushing him so hard. Just then,
I think Omori pushed her a little too hard, but not to get into semantics.
Hiro enters to find Omori alone. He reminisces of Mari, saying he can't understand why she chose to leave the way she did. I have this same thought every day, Hiro. After a short talk, the boys go back to bed. Sunny awakens, and it is now his last day in Faraway. During breakfast the next morning, one of Aubrey's new friends, Kim, shows up at Sunny's and asks the boys to go visit Aubrey at her house.
Oh no.
After the incident at the lake with Basil, Aubrey has holed herself up in her bedroom and won't come out or talk to anybody. The boys commit a little bit of
I
B&E
fucking
and
hated
go
Aubrey the
upstairs
whole
where they
time.
find
Aubrey was
who's
such a
thrilled
bitch.
to see them in her house uninvited. During a long discussion, it comes to light that Aubrey has possession of the missing photos from Basil's album, the ones that have Mari in them. The four of them sit down together and replace the photos in the album, giving us, the player, yet another chance to peek into their lives of days past. I really like this approach. Unlike games where you just read about what happened or watch a black and white cutscene from the past, we piece together history during an active task. This is an effective and engaging way to not only discern what happened in the story,
I really like this part.
it's also a look into
This
each
is a neat
character
little
and their
part.
unique personality. They return the album to its former glory, aside from one missing picture. The four teammates, now somewhat reconciled and reformed, decide to go check on Basil and apologize. Upon arriving at Basil's house, Polly tells the group that Basil isn't home. He's visiting his grandmother in the hospital.
Oh no.
As a means of passing time until he returns, they decide to go back to Sunny's house, where they end up in his backyard. What used to be a common hangout spot, including their secret treehouse, is now a quiet and hallowed place. A lonely stump sits in the back of the yard, the only remnants of the tree that Mari's body was found hanging from. I know that feeling, to look upon the place where someone you love left this earth. It's a very heavy thing to carry in your heart and mind. After pausing to pay their respects and briefly discuss the day of Mari's death, they continue on into the treehouse. Nostalgia of days past washes over them. It's here that Sunny finds the missing photo from the album taped to the wall, and on the back of it, the key, and the note, "Don't forget, it's in the toy box." Suddenly, Aubrey rushes out of the treehouse, and the boys follow. Back outside, Aubrey places a pinwheel in the stump and begins discussing an important and often overlooked part of her grief, her anger. She expresses how angry she felt that the world kept turning after Mari died, how left behind she felt. I understand that all too well. When my daughter died, I became angry too. The passing of time became foreign to me. I couldn't understand how people just moved on when my world had stopped. If this sounds familiar to you, it's okay to be angry after suffering great loss. And if you don't quite understand, well, that's okay too. Just try to be patient if you know someone who is.
Yeah, it's like every time I think about the 5 stages of grief, I can't not think about that one MatPat video of him like saying that like Majora's Mask is like the 5 stages of grief, but like genuinely like that's where I first learned about like what the 5 stages of grief were, was like from MatPat's video. And I always think about it and it's like, yeah, I mean, I was mad. I was upset. I was mad at the world. I acted out like after my mom passed away for the longest time. Like, I went through the stages of grief, whatever, but like, yeah, anger was definitely a big one. I was just mad. I was bitter towards everyone. I acted out. I was being like a piece of shit to everyone. I was getting in trouble all the time, and it's like people who haven't gone through like a death in their life, like they don't understand, and they think like you're just like overreacting or being a piece of shit. But it's like people who've had like a death in their life, like they understand it's not a fun thing. It's like how like it feels unfair that like time can keep going on, even though for you it feels like everything's been like put on hold. But the marching of time is it doesn't stop for anyone, and you have to keep going. You have to get up, you have to move forward, no matter how hard it is.
Aubrey continues on to tell the story of the day she took the album from Basil. After Mari died, she asked Basil to come over and spend some time with him. Though he reluctantly agreed, Basil acted distant and left shortly after they got to his room. While he was gone, Aubrey saw the album and decided to look through it. She opened it only to find that Basil had blacked out all of the faces with a marker. Furious, she decided to take the album for herself at that point in order to stop him from doing any more damage to what was left of her memory of Mari and the happier days behind them. Remorseful for what she'd done and how she treated Basil, Aubrey falls to the ground in tears. Kel and Hiro move closer to comfort her, but Sunny steps away. The group regathers themselves and decide to head back to Basil's.
Aww.
Polly answers the door again and tells them that, although Basil is back home, he went straight to his room and shut the door. Concerned, she invites the group in to see if they can talk to him. Though they don't get a reply when calling to him through his bedroom door, they decide to sleep in the living room in order to be there in case Basil comes out. Kel, Aubrey, Hiro, and Sunny each drift off. Once again, we find ourselves in white space, but this time things are different. There's no rug, no box of tissues, no sketchbook, and we are Sunny, not Omori. Sunny steps forward to find the familiar set pieces, and Omori there waiting for him. Omori stands in place ominously, unmoving except for his eyes which follow Sunny everywhere he walks. Sunny only has one option, to destroy the black light bulb that creates the safety that is white space. He does so and the room goes black, and the shadowy figure emerges for the final battle for Sunny's mind. During the battle, the figure transforms multiple times, taking the shape of Sunny's worst fears. All he can do is face his trauma and try to calm himself. Eventually, the figure changes to that of a girl dressed in white, her dark hair covering her face, suspended from the ground. Sunny does not shy away this time,
this was such a good revelation,
leaving behind a now purified white light bulb. Sunny picks it up and is transported to a hazy path through the forest. At the end of the path, Basil sits beneath a large tree. He is again relieved to see his friend Sunny, but goes on to give a disheartening message, that it may be too late and that it will be hard to accept the truth of that day. He tells Sunny that he has to stay strong. It's clear that both Basil and Sunny have been running from something since Mari died, and that it has been tearing each of them apart in different ways. He gives Sunny a new, empty photo album, and Sunny continues on, collecting new pictures to fill it with, but these pictures are different. They are dark, distorted, and hard to make out. Sunny continues through more dark, hellish dreamscapes. His living room, a hospital bay with rows of dying patients, and finally a dark stage, collecting more pictures along the way and placing them into the album. He eventually comes upon another large tree, only this one has a noose hanging from it. It's here he finds the last photo. We now discover what really happened the day that Mari died. Placing the photos back in order reveals the terrible truth. Mari did not die by suicide. The day of the recital, Mari and Sunny got into an argument at the top of the stairs when Sunny pushed her. Mari fell down the stairs, breaking her neck. Overwhelmed and in shock at what he had done, Sunny falls apart. Basil arrives to find Sunny in a state of panic and, in a desperate attempt to try and protect him, helps Sunny move Mari's body outside where they hanged her from a tree to make it look like a suicide.
Jesus.
My heart can't take this. Let's pause. Okay. Sunny awakens back in Basil's living room and goes upstairs to again check on him. In Basil's room, the boys together confront the shadow, known only as something. What a terrible, awful, accurate visual representation of what trauma, guilt, and anguish can feel like. Sunny and Basil are both consumed by a maelstrom of violent memories and emotion, struggling to save themselves and each other. Unable to do anything else, they attack each other until eventually Basil stabs Sunny in the eye. He blacks out. Ambulance sirens can be heard in the background. Sunny then finds himself wandering his neighborhood in a fugue state. He returns to his house to find Basil there waiting for him. Basil apologizes for causing him so much trouble and explains that all he ever really wanted to do was protect him. Basil gives his friend one last hug and walks away. Sonny enters his house, remembering the key he found on the photograph. On the way to the closet where the toy box rests, he returns to the piano room one last time to find Mari seated, playing the same sweet, soft waltz. She leaves him with a short but powerful message. Know that I'll always be watching over you, okay? As long as you remember me, I'll be there. It makes me wonder if my daughter has the same thought, wherever she is now. Sonny enters the closet and opens the toy box.
I remember the last conversation that me and my mother had. It was the very last thing that like we ever spoke to each other was like I'll always love you and I want you to remember that. And that was the last thing she said, and the next time I knew she was dead. So
Inside, he finds his violin smashed to pieces, strands of Mari's hair still tangled in its strings, along with sheet music, the song he and Mari were supposed to play for their recital, stained with blood. He leaves the house to find himself on a long stretch of highway running through the rain. Memories of days gone play, showing us the happier time when Mari was still alive and the 6 friends were practically inseparable. It's really a beautiful thing to watch. It reminds me to try to do the same with my daughter, focus on the beautiful memories I have with her, not the fact that she's gone. After the memories replay, Sonny is returned to the stage. Kel, Aubrey, and Hero are already there, waiting to cheer him on. The room dims. A spotlight shines on Sonny. He pulls out his violin, now repaired by the good memories he just relived, and plays the song he and Mari were supposed to play together the day she died. He falls to his knees, tears streaming down his face. The time has finally come to let go of the guilt and face what he's done. He returns to white space for the last time.
final duet.
Omori is there waiting, knife
Man.
in hand. This is it. The end. The true battle with himself. Sonny must rid himself of this thick, heavy shield that has weighed him down while protecting him all these years. The two exchange blows, Sonny barely managing to keep his heart up against Omori's deadly stabbing. Even more painful are the words he spouts, calling Sonny a coward and a liar. Now more than ever, it's apparent that Omori represents once dark and depressive thoughts. That voice in your head that tells you to quit, that you're worthless, that you're not loved. We all have that Omori inside of us, but please, don't listen to him, even if you've trusted him to protect you in time of crises. The fight ends with Omori overpowering Sonny. Game over. I thought I had actually done something wrong and lost the fight, but in reality, the game pulled yet another clever trick to immerse me, the player. Just like Sonny, you have to heed Basil's advice and keep going, even when you think you've been defeated.
That was fucked
choosing
up
to
that the
quit,
game did
the
that.
game continues. Sonny gets back on his feet and readies his violin. Mari appears, seated at her piano. The next sequence might be one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in a video game. Mari and Sonny, together again, play the song they never got to play. As their soft song fills your heart, memories of their life together play like an old home movie. They grow up, grow close, make memories with their friends. They plant flowers that bloom wildly, just like the love they all shared with each other. It's here that I understood that so much of Headspace was created with Mari and her love as the main inspiration. Treasure chests are watermelons, Mari's favorite fruit, one they used to eat together on the beach. Characters appear to be mostly purple because it was Mari's favorite color. She even had plans with Aubrey to dye her hair purple. I found a new beauty in Headspace's odd whimsy that I didn't see at first. The song ends, and Mari and her memory ascend beyond the white window. She is finally resting in peace. Sonny then does the most powerful thing he could. He hugs Omori. The two embrace. Omori, with a look of understanding and contentment at his defeat, drops the knife and disappears once and for all. Sonny leaves through the door of white space for the last time. It's over. Sonny awakens in the hospital, his right eye covered in a bandage. Still in a haze, he leaves his hospital room and heads down the hallway. He reaches an intersection and is given one last choice: to pursue the headspace versions of his friends or follow Basil to check on him. A neat detail that I didn't catch until I watched my
Hold on!
playthrough footage is that the hospital is laid out exactly like the neighborhood of Faraway is, the hallways representing the streets and the doors representing the houses. Sonny enters Basil's room where he finds Aubrey, Kel, and Hero at his bedside. The trio turns to Sonny, who gives us the story's final words. I have to tell you something. Roll credits.
This was...
Wow, what a story.
This was rough.
What an experience. So let's get to what most of you probably clicked on this video to hear. How did I feel playing Omori? The answer is complicated. I'm going to be honest with you. Playing Omori was one of the hardest things I've done since burying my daughter. She loved this game. The emotional parallels between her situation and the game's story are nothing short of heartbreaking. One thing that I've struggled with, that any parent that loses a child to suicide struggles with, is guilt. I feel so overwhelmingly guilty for not being able to protect her from herself. I worried that her being exposed to content like Omori was detrimental to her mental health. A part of me hates this game for being so dark, and hates myself even more for not paying more attention to her playing it. But let me be clear, I understand that that train of thought isn't totally rational, and I do not blame this game for my daughter's death. My daughter died of a medical condition. Though it's shown in a very dark way, dealing with trauma and guilt are one of this game's most powerful messages. Both Sonny and Basil are stricken with overwhelming guilt that manifests itself into terrifying, nebulous creatures that do real harm to them. I understand how this feels and appreciate how well this game conveys that feeling. So if I feel so negatively towards it, why even play it in the first place? I suppose I did it mostly for some perspective.
It feels good to feel like you are having a shared experience. Like that's why if you're that's why if you're going, yeah, it's like cathartic, right? It's cathartic, and it's like that's why if you go through a death or something like that, you would go to a group therapy and talk about other people who have experienced that. There was a very big group therapy that I went to after my mother passed away, and it was a group therapy type of thing where it's people would gather together, we would laugh, we would have a good time, and then we would talk about our experiences and the people close to us that passed away, and we would all kind of engage each other with it and try to know that it's hey, I'm not the only one who's been through this. There are other people who are going through the same thing as me, and it feels good to know that you're not alone in what you're going through.
This playthrough was cathartic in a way. I didn't ever think I'd be able to play this game. Ever. I never thought I'd be strong enough to. And don't get me wrong, I had to stop several times during my playthrough and this editing to cry or just give my heart a break. Even before I played it, this game had a way of pulling at my heartstrings. I remember the early days after her death. My mind would often replay the awful sequence of events, something I've come to refer to as the dark place. I understand now that my mind did this because it didn't want to believe what had happened. It didn't want to accept it as reality. Because what I experienced that day was surely too terrible to be real, my brain replayed it over and over and over, trying to find some sort of logical fallacy to disprove it. Was it a dream? Was I in a coma? Was she really dead or just sleeping? Your mind demands you examine every fiber of the memory in full detail on repeat. Eventually, after thousands of times of coming to the same conclusion, acceptance slowly starts to set in, but it takes weeks, months, even years. I still have not fully accepted that she's gone. I may never in this lifetime. This cycle is not unlike the cycle that Omori goes through as he jumps between worlds. I miss my daughter so much, Playing through Omori has given me a small peek into her mind. It wasn't that long ago that I myself was 13 years old and struggling to navigate life. I wish I had done a better job of trying to help her navigate. I wish I had played Omori sooner. As difficult as playing it was, the game has given me a wonderful gift, a new connection with my daughter, a shared experience. I believe that someday her and I will be reunited in the afterlife, and we will be able to sit down together and talk about this game and what it means to each of us. Though it's certainly not for everyone, and I wouldn't recommend any young kid play it, Omori is nothing short of a masterpiece. If you can handle a game with a dark narrative like this, do yourself a favor and give Omori a try. To OmoCat,
It
and
is
the
a
very, very small
beautiful
chance that
game.
you see this someday, a huge thank you to you and your team for the years of stress, anguish, hard work, and love that went into this project. I know your road was not an easy one to walk, but you should be proud for having walked it. You have truly created more than a game. You have created art, something powerful that has the ability to get people to better understand trauma and grief, something our society tries to avoid at seemingly all costs. I believe that you have made the world a better place, and I appreciate you to no end. And to my daughter, if you're watching this, I love you, kid, and I'm so grateful I got to be your dad.
This is heartbreaking.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and have ideas for other games that would be good for similar reviews, please leave a comment below. And remember to love yourself.
Man, what a powerful video. Holy shit. This is good. My favorite Omori Jukebook quote is, "Do you want to hear about construction? I'm still working on it." There's the video. Go watch it. Give it a like. Whatever. Like, this is, man. Good morning. Morning. This is such a good song. I love Omori. Anyway, yeah, yeah, it's a very powerful game. A lot of strong emotions for sure in this one. Panky trying to cry right now? No. I just like listening to the song. But yeah, overall thoughts. It was a very good video. I'm glad I watched it. It's a lot to think about for sure. But yeah, when I played Omori, I had a similar experience, like to that guy, where it's like I knew exactly like what he was talking about, where it's like going through all of it. It's like you feel angry, you feel sad, like you are just like fighting against like reality, like you replay the event in your head over and over and over and over again, and it just like it doesn't go away, and like no matter like what, and it's like it takes years, and it's like I still like I'm sad that it happened, but like it's like, yeah, I've come to terms with it, you know, it's happened. There's nothing I can do to change about it, and like that's something like very important that like people need to think about. Like people need to think more about the fact it's like if an event happens like this, there's no point in thinking about it. There's no thinking about it over and over again and thinking like, oh, I could have done things differently, because it doesn't matter if you could have done things differently. The only point is like it's over now. It happened. There is nothing you can do to change it. It's always going to be like that, no matter what, no matter how hard you try, it will forever remain like that. And the only thing that you can do to learn is to look at the event, learn from it, and know what can you do in the future to hopefully help. that was so much. It really does make you understand the game's emotions so well. Like, Omori does a fantastic job at making you. Omori does a fantastic job at making you really relate to the emotions and like what its story wants you to know. It it is genuinely a masterclass in what it does. Like, I don't think there's any game that has, in my opinion, no game that, in my opinion, that has come close to getting the emotional resonance that Omori can give you. Like, not things like Undertale or like Deltarune or like whatever. Like, no game in my opinion has come close to the amount of emotions that Omori is able to just manifest in the person playing it. I don't know, from what I've heard, people who play the game who haven't gone through like a close death in their life, like even they like are like, yeah, like it felt bad. It felt bad going through this. And so it's like, you know, it's not just people who've had similar experiences who feel, you know, sad like playing the game. But yeah. Anyway, Toby Fox worked on the music for this game. Oh, I forgot he did that. Genuinely forgot he did work on the music for this game. Well, that was a hard video to get through.